and welcome back to another episode of RC Icons. So in this video we're going to get the Ranger ready for a run. This is part 3. If you remember, in part 2 we had a little bit of trouble with the original decals, and I've since learned that if you use the soapy water technique, it's supposed to reactivate the decals. I did order a set of MCI original reproduction decals, so those are in. But in all honesty, for the run, I don't even want to decal it just in case something goes wrong. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the electrics in it. The motor is in it, but we need to put a servo in it. We need to get the receiver in it. So we'll finish the electrics, and then we're going to take it for a run exactly the way it is, just so that we don't end up messing up the decals if something goes wrong. I really hope nothing goes wrong. This is going to be a real gentle run with this truck. I absolutely love this truck. I don't want anything to happen to it. I've got a lot of time invested in the paint. It looks absolutely epic, to be honest. The truck itself is gorgeous. So this is going to be a real light run, and then that's going to be it. We're going to bring it back in. I don't even anticipate having to clean it. That's how light this run is going to be. But I want to at least run it. So we're going to take it out for a light run, and then we're going to bring it back in, take the electrics out of it, and then we're going to decal it to go on the shelf. So let me bring the camera over. We'll show you this truck real quick as it sits, and then we'll get the electrics fitted so that we can get it outside. Alright, so now that I have you in frame, so we'll be using the Noble NB Pro just like we did with the Dynablaster. So these are the reproduction decals. In fact, hold on one second. Sorry for doing this on camera, but we might as well compare them. So I do have a couple of them already cut out, and they're being protected right now in the... So the MCI ones actually give you the cuts like the original ones do. The color is definitely off on the stripes. This is more of a gray-y beige, where this is like a straight up beige. The Fords don't look too bad. The freewheeling doesn't look too bad. Pretty close. The rest of them are all pretty much white and black. The Bluestein looks pretty close. So actually MCI did a really good job. They just got the color just a couple of shades off on the stripes, which isn't the end of the world, but you would definitely be able to tell the reproduction from the original. So we're going to save that for after the run. So showing you the truck again. Right, so this is the truck finished. Painted up, tire writing is done. The wheels are like an off-white, they're not like a true white. Here's our grill and our Ford badge in the front. And I'm not going to say Paranoid Perry because he's in the Blackfoot, or Ramblin' Ron. Sorry, Paranoid Perry is the Avanti. It's not Ramblin' Ron, but it's, I forget who it is, but I actually I did a pretty good job on him. I got eyebrows and the whole 9 yards on him, so... Looks pretty good. It's going to look epic once it's decaled. So I've got my mini receiver. So this one's a little bit different than one we used in the Dynablaster. The one in the Dynablaster had an antenna on it. These are the receivers I used to use in my NB4 that I sent Glenn. They're antennaless, and they're literally the size of like my thumbnail. They're so convenient. So we're going to get that bound up. We've got a 1060 we're going to use, and we're going to use the stock silver can motor. I'm going to have to figure out how to position this steering servo so that it works, because I've never done an SRB before and they just get kind of taped in place. So it ought to be interesting. I don't even know where the motor wires are supposed to run into this thing, but somehow those are supposed to get run in, and I'm going to have to solder some bullet connectors on it. So let me bring you back when I've got something to show you. Alright, so I figured I'd bring you back. So it's a good thing this is going to be a short run. You can see my bench is a mess. I went through the same thing I went through with the Dynablaster with the servos. I used a regular one and it was too long. And it gets in the way of me actually putting the battery in. It's a shitty design, to be honest. Excuse my language, but it's old, right? 1982. So radio technology is completely different. So I've got everything in there. The battery's just kind of sitting in there. It'll be fine for the run that we're going to do. It's not like I'm going to jump it or anything. But you can see we have steering. And with no servo mounts, I don't want to drill holes in this thing to mount the servo, right? So the servo just gets stuck down with double-sided tape, which is kind of crap. But then we have our throttle. Reverse. But it'll work enough for us to take it up and down the driveway, which is about all that's going to happen before it starts falling apart. Just because of the way that it's set up. I'm not even going to be able to get the top cap on. But it is what it is. It's the only 2-cell LiPo I've got. So we'll make do with it to give you guys a little putt up and down the driveway. You guys can see an original Ranger run. So next time I bring you on here, we'll be heading outside. All right, we're out with the Tamiya F150 Ranger F150XLT from 1981. Looks a little funny without the decals, but we're gonna decal it up after our run here. Ooh, she's got some speed. Gotta be careful not to roll it. Looks great. It turns on a dime. Running on 2S. The grass is a little bit long. She does all right though. Little jumps. This thing must have been epic in 81. Tamiya's 27th RC car. It's hard not to get carried away. I think I lost my steering in one direction. Wouldn't be surprised if I did. Servo that's just taped down. Yeah, there ain't much steering left that way. I have my endpoint adjustments turned way down too, so that doesn't help. Turns right around going right, but left is a little wide right now. She does look epic. This thing hauls. I just don't want to roll it. It must have been so much fun as a kid in 82, right? Get a truck like this, how epic. It reminds me so much of my Blackfoot. Whoa, that was close. All right, that's gonna do it for this location. I'll give you a little bit more in the dirt. So So we're at location number 2, which is basically just a gravel parking lot with the Ford Ranger from 1981. I'll tell you what, this little SRB is impressing the living hell out of me. I've never driven an SRB before. See if I can keep this thing from rolling. But yeah, it does great. This is more in tune with like its environment. Bumps and jumps here. I'm excited to get this thing back and get the decals on it, to be completely honest. She does have a little bit of punch. The little suspension's working good. Bobbling around like the SRBs do. This thing must have been epic for a kid in 1981. Kind of your first trail truck, right? Not really, but sorta. Bobbing around. Turns on a dime. One way. Oh, there's a rock. Absolutely epic. Whoa. Yeah, this surface is a little rough for this, but we'll finish it off here. Whoa, that's a big rock over there. Oh, it's a leaf. So this is its one and only run. So I hope you guys enjoy it, because it's going to the shelf. It's going to get decaled and it's going to the shelf. You know, one of the reasons I didn't decal it, obviously I was having troubles with the original decals, and I had ordered a set of those MCI. The reason I didn't is because I figured if I wreck this thing during the run-in video, I can repaint it and then decal it. But that's the whole method to my madness of not decaling it yet. I'm hoping I don't have to go through that, but she's handling pretty good. I'm surprised that steering servo is still in place with just a piece of double-sided tape. This is an extremely rough little dirt parking lot. I was going to take out the Optima Mid after this, but definitely not here. This is too rough. It'll be bottoming out the whole time. I do have this chassis protected with Gorilla Tape, just in case it takes a... Whoa, that was close to rolling. Just in case it takes a... I mean, I can't even go full throttle, just in case it takes a hit. But no, I can't even really go full throttle. It's just too much. It'll definitely roll. That's full throttle. Ford Ranger F150XLT from 1981. Number 27 from Tamiya. It's actually really fast. It probably doesn't come across on video how fast this truck is, but I think I've got it in low gearing. He does a good job. It really does. Bobbling around. It so reminds me of my Blackfoot. Obviously completely different chassis and smaller wheels and tires, but just seeing that body ripping around, bouncing around like that, absolutely epic. So that's gonna do it for the Ranger XLT F150 from 1981. Next time you see it, we'll be back in the studio putting decals on. See you there. Well, that was absolutely unreal. So much for that light run. Sometimes I just can't help myself. Right? Cars. Oh, I told myself, just take it for a nice little run on the tar and that's it. And as soon as I got it in the gravel, it was over with. We did good though. We didn't do any damage. This little truck, I love it. Absolutely love it. So in the build videos of this truck, every single one, every single comment, I can't wait. I hope Tamiya re-reads it. I hope Tamiya re-reads it. So some of my answers were to people about how they could pull a re-re off for maybe 450 USD. I know it's a lot of money. But if Tamiya comes out with a re-re, what do you think that thing's going to cost? A sand scorcher in the US is $390. Super Champ, same price, $355 maybe to $400. So if they do a Ranger, it's going to be $400 minimum. I guarantee it. I love this thing so much, but I don't want to run it. So I'm going to make a re-re. I've decided. I've got a re-re sand scorcher. I'm going to use that chassis. I'm going to order the front and rear body pins or body mounts you can buy on eBay. I'm going to order the body mounts. I'm going to order a Blackfoot body. I'm going to use the Ford badging, that one I showed you in the body video. And I'm gonna show you guys how you can build your own re-re. Now, granted, it's gonna be a clone. I get it, but I don't care. I want one to run. I loved this thing. It was awesome. I've never run an SRB chassis before, but this thing was great. And even though I modded the rear end, that's the other thing I got in the comments. Like, that chassis is supposed to be like a real Volkswagen chassis, and when you lift a Volkswagen chassis, the wheels get cocked like that, and Tamiya was just keeping it real, and that's why they did that. I totally get it, but this is a Ford truck. If I had built a Rough Rider or a Super Champ, I wouldn't have modded the rear end. That's not what the mod was about. It's the fact that this is a Ford truck, and Ford trucks didn't drive down the road with the tires cocked. That's just not indicative of how it was. I get it. Tamiya used a chassis that they had already. They didn't want to develop a new chassis. They probably should have waited a few years and put it on an ORV. Oh, wait a minute. They did that. It was called the Blackfoot. So I totally understand why they put it on this chassis at the time. But they should have changed the castings or put a little note in the direction to get the rear wheels to look more scale for a Ford truck, not a Volkswagen Beetle. So yeah, I'm building a re-re just so I have a runner of this thing. It was that much fun. And I'm going to build the re-re on the show, but I'm going to wait a little while because I've got so much to do, and I don't think it's fair to you guys for me to just do another Ford Ranger immediately. You'll have to tell me in the comments. But yeah, this thing was awesome. So typically this would be a closing, but this truck's not done yet. So I'm going to decal the truck right now. I'm going to clean it up real quick. I'm going to bring the camera over and we're going to get it decaled up because it's done. This truck isn't running again, but that doesn't mean you're not going to see another Ford Ranger run on the channel, because you are. and it's going to be a Riri, and I'm going to show you how to do one yourself, and it's going to be $50 more than what Tamiya would charge if they were to do one. And all you people out there in YouTube world that want a Ranger Riri, I'm going to show you how to do it. And I'm going to show you how to do it for the same price that Tamiya would do it for. Everybody's been begging for one. This is how it's going to get done. You might as well do it now, because they just did a run of sand scorchers this year, and you can still pick them up for $380-ish, $390-ish. If you wait another year, they're going to be back up to $500. That's just the way it works, and it's the same with the Super Champ. Now, you could probably do it with a Super Champ, or whatever they call that, the Riri, the fighter buggy, racing buggy. I forget what the Riri name is. But anyways, that one doesn't have the rear shocks, oil shocks, like the Ranger does. So it's easier to do it with a sand scorcher. And I had bought a sand scorcher Riri just to have one, like, you know, just in case someday I feel like building a second one, because I have an original sand scorcher to do. A lot like this one. It was a compromised kit, but everything is there. So that kit's just sitting there with nothing really slated for it. So this is going to be perfect. So let me bring the camera over. We're going to get the electrics out of this truck. We're going to get it cleaned up. Let's get it decaled. I've got some styrene. I'm going to cut and paint a couple pieces of styrene to go in the corners here, because I want the sunroof to be up and angled. But let's get this truck finished so we can put it on the shelf, and then we're going to give it, whatever, 6 months, maybe late winter, we're going to revisit this whole Ranger Riri. And in the meantime, I'll get a Blackfoot body, and I've got the MCI decals. The MCI decals, just a note, someone had asked me in the comments that they said that this body looked like the wide wheelbase body. And I told them that I measured the arches, and they were 80 millimeters, so I ordered the 80 millimeter decals. Well, I'm a moron. It's the front ones that change, not the rears. So this is a 90 millimeter front wheelbase, not wheelbase, but front fender arch. So the decals I ordered are 80, and this is 90. So the MCI decals I actually ordered will not work on this truck, but they should work on the Blackfoot Riri body. So the original Rangers, the early versions, had a tighter front wheel well. It was 80 millimeter, not 90. So this is an original Ranger, but it's a later truck. So it's got a 90 millimeter front wheel well. So if I was going to use MCI decals on this, now I still have to try to use the original decals with soapy water. People are telling me that will reactivate the adhesive. I'm hoping it works. So we may get stonewalled here again in this video. I'm hoping it works. If it doesn't work, I'm going to have to order another set of MCI decals in a 90 millimeter. And eventually get this thing decaled. But one way or another, this truck will get finished with decals and get put on the shelf. So we're going to try soap and water technique right now, and we'll see how it goes. And let me bring the camera over.